Hi, you're back with Mr. Canada Maths, and we're looking at cubic and cube numbers inside the topic of indices. So, just like a square number was just, we could it represented with a little 2 up top, and that was a square. Cube numbers have anything where we have a 3 up top. So we could have x cubed, we could have 3 cubed, we could have 7 cubed, we could have star cubed, or let's have, how about box cubed, centimeters cubed, volume cubed. Maybe not volume cubed. How about length cubed, right? Which is our volume. There are lots of ways we have and use and talk about cubic numbers. So, and it's a number multiplied by itself 3 times. So if we say take 3 cubed, we're going to expand that to say that's 3 times 3, and then times by 3 again, right? So let's choose another one. So how about 2 cubed? 2 cubed, we're just going to write as 2 times 2, which is 4. And then we're going to times it by 2 again after. So we can find that's 8. Right? The same thing, we're just doing one more step than squaring a number. Okay, so for example, we have 2 to the power of 3, 1 cubed, 1 to the 3. It all means 1 with a little index of 3, which is 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. So if we consider that we did area last time was squared, well, most cubic things are volumes. So we look at this following cube, we notice that we have a length, a width, and a height, all of 2 centimeters. So let's give that a little a as 2 centimeters, right? Well, if I want to do my volume is just of a cube is just one of your side lengths cubed, because it's just length times width times height. So you find that that's 2 centimeters all to the power of 3. And then we can bring in that 3 as just onto each term separately inside that bracket. So we can find that that is 8, right? Because that's 2 times 2 times 2, and centimeters cubed, which is 8 centimeters cubed. So let's get on to some examples. So what is 8 cubed? How are we going to write this out? Okay, so if it's ever in words, let's write it out in index form. So 8, and then the second part just tells us we have the little 3. So now we want to write out in normal notation so we can actually get some working with it. What's this? Well, I always work with the first 2 terms, like brackets, like that. So I get 64, and then I'm going to times that by 8. So, like I said, you might have to do the maths outside of it and just do multiplication. However, by doing so, well, A, you're practicing your maths. B, it's not actually that hard when you get down to it, right? So always just try and practice doing your maths like I did there. So there we go. At the end, we have 512. Looking at the next one, we have 10 to the power of 3. So we're going to write 10 with a little 3. And we can go 10 times 10. And we can say that, well, hey, I know that's 100 right there. So I'll just stop there. And then I'll do my times 10 after. You're still showing that you know what's going on, but you're just making your work a little easier for yourself. And lastly, 15 to the 3. Well, I can write 15 to the 3 like that. And then, well, 15 times 15 times 15 is something that's, well, it's a little bit harder to do, right? So I know that 15 times 15 is 225, because that's a perfect square, right? And then I'm going to times that by 15. So I have to bring it out of my little expression there. I got to write it out so I can multiply this all together, right? So here we are going to be left with So 5733, so 3,375 is for 15 cubed. So once again, because I believe that these are the most important kind of indexes, I'm kind of giving you a hint there. If you're paying attention to the last couple of videos, that what I want you to do is fill in the table. So if you know the words, figure out the index working answer, vice versa. Work your way around this table, pause the video, and then once you're ready, we'll go through. So welcome back. We're going to start filling this table. So we know 2 times 2 times 2 is saying we have 2 and we power of 3. Well, and then what does that make? That makes 8. 3 to the power of 3 is 3 times 3 times 3. Well, 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 is 27. I'm just going to take a shot in the dark and say that, well, following a pattern, this might be 4 times 4 times 4. And if you're struggling with some of these, don't worry, you'll start to grasp them after you see them enough times. Because 4 times 4 is 16, and then some of you may know that 16 times 4 is 64 right away. So that's why knowing your times tables is very helpful in lots of parts of maths. Next one, 5 times 5 times 5, we represent it as 5 cubed. 10 cubed is 10 times 10 times 10. We've done that before. We know that that's 1,000. And then 25 times 5 is 125. So looking over at how do we say these, we can say 3 cubed, right, is typically, until you get to the higher power, most people talk about squares, or to the power of 2 as squared, to the power of 3 as cube or cubic, just because they are most widely used powers. And it's just easier to say 2 words than a string of words. So, after you checked over your work, we're done, and we'll try something with bigger powers next time.